Hi Shamal, if you are talking, we can't hear.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, 1 second. Welcome back, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. We are thrilled to have you join us for our third and the last webinar from the Workspace Wisdom series. Today, we will be diving into the crucial topic of secured collaboration. As we continue to embrace digital tools for work, ensuring the security of our data and collaborations have become more important than ever. So, in this today's session, our speakers will thoroughly discuss how we can collaborate securely. So, before we kickstart today's session, let's see what we will cover today. To begin, I will introduce our speakers. Our first speaker, Mr. Prashant Vaishnav, will walk us through who we are and what we do as a SEERS. Then he will set the context for today's webinar. Next, we'll hear from Mr. Amol Petwe. Um, Amol will give us a closer look at Google Workspace and its enterprise security grade features. Finally, we have our third speaker, Ms. Pallavi Kole, will give us a live demo on security features. In the end, as usual, we have set aside some time for our Q&A session where you can ask your questions, queries, and then we'll wrap up the session. So let me introduce our today's speakers. I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Prashant Vaishnav, Director of Future of Work at India. SEERS brings over 2 decades of expertise in pre-sales, solution consulting, automation, and transformation. He has diverse experience in various domains as well. Then Mr. Amol Petwe. Yeah, he has spoken in last two webinars and shared a lot of insights on different topics. He's the director, Future of Work Practice India at SEERS. Amol, with over 18 years of experience in IT and technology expertise, is a proven catalyst of business growth and success. So, our third speaker who is joining us today is Miss Pallavi Kole, a solution architect in the future of work practice at SEERS. With over a decade of experience in cloud technology, Pallavi has a proven track record of helping businesses innovate and succeed through strategic cloud adoption. So, on this note, I'm pleased to hand over this virtual floor to our first speaker, Mr. Prashant Vaishnav. Prashant, over to you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Shamal. Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody. Shamal, am I audible clearly?
Yes.
Audible? Yeah. Thank you. Can you move to the next slide, please?
Yes.
Right. So some of you have already been with us in the previous two seminars, and we thank you for joining again. But what we thought is that for the benefit of those who are coming for the first time, maybe I can just take a couple of minutes to begin with to introduce who SEERS is. So we are one of the premier partners of Google. We just completed 20 years about a couple of months back, and we are located around 18 locations all over the world. We have been partners of the year for the last 5 or 6 years continuously in one category or the other. And each of the different specializations that are available at Google, whether it's on the cloud side, infrastructure, data analytics, workplace, location, we have each of those specializations. Shamal, can you move to the next slide, please? I'll tell you a little bit about what are the different kinds of technology consulting practices that we have, just to give you an idea. So in on the left side of the screen is where I am, and I'm going to start from the top, cloud modernization, and go clockwise. So first thing that we do is looking after the entire cloud journey of your organization, right? So whether it is on the infrastructure side or on the application side, the modernization of the infrastructure or modernization of the application, the migrations, the refactoring, the containerization, setting up your DevOps, all of that, and taking over the entire management post migration to the cloud, right? Or even if it is from one cloud to another, that too, that as well. So the entire cloud journey, the entire data and analytics journey. So helping you set up your data warehouse or data lake, helping you pull in data from the different data sources, setting up data governance around it, and then helping you build your analytics or BI applications so that they are suitably useful for the business. So that entire data journey. The third is the future of work, which is what we are, and I will come back to it in just a minute on the next slide when we go there. So just hold that thought. The fourth is applied AI. So this is the entire AI journey, right? Uh, on AI side and on the ML side, right? From choosing your models, testing them, training them, deploying them, operating them, or leveraging AI to build real world applications, build apps around that, or integrate AI into your existing app. So the entire AI journey. The fifth is the entire location intelligence journey. So everything to do with maps and how you use maps in your application landscape, right? So that is there. And then the sixth is what we call software engineering. So in each of these five practices that I spoke of earlier, at some point of time you need the ability to bring things together, right? You are either integrating into your landscape, or you're building a mobile app or a web app, or you're trying to build something new. So the software engineering practice is what ties all of these things together. Next slide, please. So this is us, what we call the future of work practice. We are primarily focused on Google Workspace, but the reason we call it the future of work practice is we believe Google Workspace and allied solutions are really the future of how work is evolving and where work is headed. So primarily around collaboration, automation, security, and generative AI. As we know, the way we collaborate has changed. Literally anytime, any device, anywhere, any organization, because we now work with partners, we now work with gig workers, we now work with contractors, right? We work from home, we work on holiday, we work on different devices. So the ability to collaborate in real time across all of these different geographical, physical, virtual boundaries is what is very important. The ability to automate, because the automation is now increasingly becoming part of work, right? To be able to deliver work efficiently and effectively. And in the balance of these two factors, security becomes important, right? Considering all of these things that I spoke of, and we will deep dive into this aspect today, security. And throughout these pillars, your entire journey, right from helping you discover and decide what is the right solution for you, helping you plan and execute your migration, plan your and create your business case, helping you with the actual migration, helping you with the adoption planning, the change management, and then helping you beyond that in terms of an SLA based support, and continuing your journey beyond that as well. And given our experience, we've built a lot of accelerators and we've done a lot of integrations, which we would bring to bear when we work with you. Next slide, please. So we believe that this is a journey. When you implement Google Workspace, the first implementation is just the beginning of your value realization, the hard business case that you will generate. But there is a lot more as you move forward. As people start working on Google Workspace and realizing the benefit of real-time collaboration, of simple ways in which everything just works together, because of the fact that everything is built to be cloud native ground up instead of being retrofitted for the cloud, something that was built for the desktop. So you see that the culture of the organization starts changing. People become more collaborative. That drives innovation. and that is what then eventually drives top line and bottom line growth, right? So this entire journey, we are the kind of partners who are able to work with you throughout this journey. Next slide, please. And these are some of the numbers. We've worked with so many clients all over the world. We have a very high NPS score. We have a very high retention score. That means customers love to work with us and renew with us as well. So next slide, please. Now, having said that, a little bit about today's context, the session for today. Now, my grandmother grew up in a village, and some of you may also have had this similar experience that usually grandmother's wisdom is right. He used to say that if you have any kind of hole or leakage in the floors or in the walls, and if you try to plug them so that water doesn't come in or rodents don't come in or that kind of stuff, because in villages those kind of things happen. And she says, what's the point if you keep the doors open, right? You have to make sure. So the point here is that it sounds like an interesting and funny story, but the point here is that you have to understand what is it that you're dealing with, what are the vulnerabilities that you have, and what is the right way to fix all of these, right? If you fix one part of it and you focus too much on the details but miss the bigger picture, that's the problem. And in our context, next slide, please. In our context, these are those doors that we have to worry about, right? Our email, our collaboration apps, our file editors, our chat, and all of these things. These are the doors that we need to fix, because we may fix things on the network, we may fix things on the physical security, but these are the very important things that we need to work and worry about. And why do we say so? Let's look at some statistics on the next slide. So we looked at some analyst reports, right? And we try to make sure that these are respected third-party analysts, and we took a look at the reports. And interestingly, 57% of the organizations face phishing attacks daily or weekly, right? And now, if you see, this is between half and one third, which is a very significant number. And about there is a 75% increase this year compared to the previous year in terms of cloud intrusions. Given that we are moving more and more things to the cloud, this becomes an important factor that we have to look at, right? The more important thing is that 60% of these are interactive intrusions. Interactive means there is some way of getting an end user involved in the attack, right? This is either through a document, a link, a form, or something like that. And this is also reflected in the fact that 75% of the attacks are malware free. So it's not as if some malware was installed and that got executed and that led to the attack, right? It happened through this interactive intrusion. And email is used as 35%. So more than one third of the attacks come via email for ransomware. And the biggest factor in email, 43%, is misdelivery. Making sure that your email reaches the right person in the right context, and where it doesn't reach where it doesn't have to reach, is an important part. So as you can see, when you look at the statistics, the best way to protect yourself from that first statistic of 57%, the best way to make sure that you are not in that 57% is to ensure that your email system, your collaboration apps, your document editors, file sharing, browsers, mobile devices, these are all protected by tools that are best suited for this new paradigm of anytime, anywhere, any device type of work situation, right? So today we are going to talk a little bit more about how Google Workspace is the ideal platform for this. So with that, setting that context, now I'm going to hand over to my colleague Amol to take a little deeper view into Google Workspace.
Thank you so much, Prashant. I think it definitely sets the context. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Amol Petue. I look after Google Workspace practice across India and the rest of the region. Idea is to showcase go a little deeper in terms of the security, in terms of the vulnerability that today's organizations are facing on their endpoints or at the same time in their data centers too. And that's the reason why companies are moving on to the cloud. majorly for non-core applications like emailing, file servers, like your conferencing, and so on and so forth. So, quickly moving on to the next slide, I would like to go a little deeper in terms of when we spoke about the story which Prashant told, right, of grandma, and I think that's very important, and this is where the world is living. But they this is the truth as well. This is the hard truth where organizations are facing these kind of outages. A lot of security breaches are taking place, but still the IT leaders are glued to some of the legacy systems that they have built in their environments in so many years, and they are unable to actually move. They are unable to find secured alternatives as well, and these are the security breaches are costing huge sums of money for the organization. So, with that in mind, I would also like to talk about fundamentally as well as structurally how the some of the solutions that we use on our day-to-day life to take an example of an alternative or a comparative study. So if you go to the next, Shamal, I would like to talk about the infrastructure where we all are using, and this is infrastructure being provided by Microsoft majorly. We consider that more than 80%, and 85% of the endpoints are Windows today. Organizations are heavily using Active Directories for their for identity or authentication environment. Equally, they are using file servers, even though Office 365 comes with a OneDrive or a online file server, but people are using these files locally, and that is where the vulnerabilities are taking place. So data loss due to files stored which are in the local environment. At the same time, vulnerabilities are taking place not only in the endpoints but even at the exchange level, right, at the server level as well. And as a result, some of the platforms like SharePoint, some of the platforms like Active Directory are often exploited to the attacks and steal confidential data. And this is where the bigger concern which organizations have today. In order to address this, Google Cloud, with a platform called Google Workspace, have come up with a completely different approach and a different structure. And that structure I would want to kind of showcase in my next slide. If you go here, this is pure and proven cloud offering coming from Google Workspace, as everybody is pretty much aware, because these tools are being used by individuals on their personal lives, and we are so happy using these tools because we've been relaxed. If we are keeping our confidential data, even though it is personal, on Gmail or on Drive or on Photos, these data are pretty much safe and secure and accessible whenever we needed it, right? So it is important that the platform where we are into, it should be not only secured but equally it should be accessible and reliable. And as a result, Google is the platform which brings no downtime for their environment. It's 99.9% uptime that they provide. At the same time, none of the data is stored locally, not at the infrastructure level, as well as at the neither at the endpoints as well, because of its basic nature and structurally how it is defined. This is purely stored on cloud, and this is accessible by individual users through the browser or another interface, which is mobile interface, right? As a result, it reduces down the breaches, it reduces down the vulnerabilities of exposing these data or files to the outer world, right? With that in mind, I would also, if you go to the next, Shamal, I would like to highlight some design in security by design is something which the infrastructure Google has created, right? Google, you will be amazed to know, is the second largest hardware manufacturer, and this is something which no one knows here, right? Because the whole data center is custom built by Google themselves. It is not, these are not the data centers which has been bought, right? So so the security has been designed right at the infrastructure level, and at the kernel level itself. As a result, they are coming up with all these zero trust architecture, which will allow them to enforce service identity, which is more secured. It provides strong authentication of the users. Okay, it also has a dedicated shared service for admin authorization, and at the same time, it allows you to actually have more secured environment for the end users as well. Now, whether you use in web interface or the mobile apps. With that in mind, I would like to now talk about some of the core functionalities what Google Workspace as a platform provides in order to enforce those security, enforce these controls as well as monitors the data flow in and out of the domain. Go to the next slide. And that's how over a period of time, so the work itself has fundamentally changed, right? So people have started using data or platforms on a different varied different solutions, right? As a result, it is not the data is flowing through email or attachments only. The files are not going through only the email as a platform. Communication channels have been created. It is in the form of videos, it is in the form of audio files, it is in the form of exe files. So data is traveling across different ways. What is important is a platform that will take care of all these file options under one environment, so that the policies applies to all the tools and applications. As a result, go to the next. To start with, I would like to highlight how much so to start with, Gmail allows you to give you secured communication platform, because that is something everybody is using today. Why don't we actually talk about Gmail as an environment that is the backbone from a communication standpoint for the organization? Still there are organizations which are dependent heavily on email only, and for internal communication, they are using instant messaging chat. Now, this email becomes an important in flow of information, and having a defense in depth, right? That is very, very important from a Google standpoint. Now, with that thing in mind, you would see that Google Workspace provides data leakage prevention for the email. You come up with all the predefined detectors. At the same time, you also have detailed security sandboxing and authentication created. All these rules are created at the administration console level. Moving on to the next, I would also like to talk about data leakage prevention, which is a functionality that is supported via platform. And it is not only for email, but it also supports through other applications. One is instant messaging chat, which is Google Chat, and the other is Google Drive. So all the files which have been shared, stored, are completely encrypted at rest and at the same time during transit. And whenever you are sharing, it comes with all the IRM functionalities to ensure secured access privileges are being given to the users who would be accessing these files. Now, when we talk about detectors, there are predefined detectors available in the console which you can enforce policies through. But at the same time, there you have a custom regex environment that can be created to map your needs. At the same time, scanning is also possible through these DLP services via OCR capabilities. Okay, move to the next. Beyond DLP, let's also talk about the identity and authentication environment provided by Google Workspace. Now, the picture that you can see is two scenarios we would like to understand. The first scenario is environment which is on Google Workspace, and you wants to use Google Workspace as an authentication environment. That is practically possible. And then at the back end, the other scenario is, let's say you already have some LDAP services in your environment. So let's say, for example, Active Directory, and you want to continue using Active Directory. That is equally possible as well. So it will talk to Active Directory at the backend. So AD becomes your single source of truth. All the onboarding or authentication takes place at the AD, and it will synchronize with Google Workspace in one way side. Now, that's the first use case of cloud identity from authentication standpoint. The move to the next. The second use case that I would like to highlight is the conditional access. Now, this is where access management comes into picture. There are multiple conditions in an organization that comes up, which is purely the IP restriction, or a device-based restriction. Organizations want to enforce that the users of the organization should be able to access the data only within the premises. Okay, you can enforce that. Or there are company-owned devices where the data should be accessible through. It is also possible by using serial ID connected to or mapped to the user ID. And it also allows you to have a geographic origin, so geofencing is also possible. So these are some of the context, or for that matter, conditions can be enforced for accessing the data securely. Moving on to the next, and which is the third use cases of cloud identity premise, purely the secured LDAP services. Applications which are SAML based applications, as well as non-SAML based or on-premise applications, allows you to have Google identity as an authentication environment as well. Now, idea is to look at alternatives from a identity standpoint that you have today, or if you don't have a single authentication environment but a distributed authentication systems. Instead of that, bringing everything onto a Google workspace from an identity standpoint makes more sense from a and that's it saves a lot of cost, at the same time the efforts of managing single environment as well. Okay, so we just covered from data security on the email, then we spoke about the DLP, and then third use case we spoke about the identity standpoint. Beyond that, I would also like to talk about, if we move to the next, would also like to talk about the devices controls and device management. And this comes across endpoint devices. Now, endpoint devices are your mobiles as well as your Windows machines. Now, within mobiles, Google Workspace supports all the operating systems, which are majorly Android, at the same time iOS. Within Android, Google comes up with a containerization, which allows you to kind of create a logical partition within the devices, mobile devices that your users have. You can very well enforce bring your own devices approach as well in the organization, so you don't need to provide company-owned devices to the users. With that, from a single console, you will be able to enforce policies to restrict taking screenshots, to restrict sharing these screenshots or the content from any of the Google Workspace tools, right? Be it Gmail, be it Google Drive, be it the content within that email body or the documents, right? As well as the real-time chats, right? That we have, instant messaging services that we use. The if the content related to that will not be able to copy and paste it into the third-party applications or personal applications. That's where we can enforce. um and the benefit of having a containerization, it stores all the data in your work container, and you'll not be able to copy and paste the data across personal devices or personal profiles. That's on the Android, and on the iOS side, it allows data exfiltration where the policies can be enforced instead of depending on the containerization, because iOS does not provide that. So that's on the devices side as well. It provides. Shamal, if you move to the next, I would also like to talk about uh, sandboxing. So security sandboxing is purely and why it is important is this is where most of the CISOs are concerned about, because organizations, high profile users like CFOs and CEOs are being targeted, and that's where a lot of attacks that takes place, right? Ransomware attacks, phishing attacks, spoofing attacks, and these attacks can be restricted and can be ensured that it does not affect the end users and does not affect the company. So it creates a sandboxing environment for the IT team on the console side, where all the malicious content go and sit, and it basically scanned and filtered messages being passed to the end users. And next, if you move to the next. Chamal, you there? And end of the day, what is needed is you get a complete dashboard, and this dashboard allows you to see how much policies, how much secured your policies are, and how are they working as per your needs or not, right? And that's where the security health dashboards and at the same time investigation tools allows you to enforce these policies. Okay, with that, I would like to hand over the stage to Pallavi to showcase and see how effectively these can be used from a console standpoint. Pallavi.
Sure. Thank you, Amol. That was a great sneak peek into the security piece. I will quickly share my screen to showcase the demo. Just let me know if my screen is visible. Can someone confirm if they're able to see my screen?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Jamal, you might need to add to the stream.
Is it visible?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, of all the discussion that Prashant and Amol have briefed on, this is the entire Google Workspace admin console from where we can control all the user policies as well as the end user device policies. Let it be a Windows device or a mobile device for end users. So, just to quickly showcase and starting with the security, I'm sure we're more concerned about how we can control data leakage on email piece. So with Google, I'm sure everyone is aware of how we configure policies. I would like to just showcase how we can have an advanced content onto it. So to configure this configuration, we can either select it at a domain level or at a business unit level. We can define the content based on simple content match, advanced content match, metadata match, and predefined match. So when we say predefined match, there are a number of options available based on the different countries that you're located in that you can leverage to configure the policies. It's just a click away and you can configure the settings in the admin panel. You just have to select the respective configuration. So, for example, I say global credit card number. How much match? What should be the minimum match? I will say 1. The threshold should be minimum or high. I can select that. I can save the setting. And on this, what should be the action taken? So as an admin, I can modify that email, I can reject that email, I can quarantine that email. When I say modify, I have options to add header, subject, change subject, route that email, add in envelope recipients, bypass spam, if there are any configurations that I've made. If I have to remove the attachments, I can do that. I can also get it delivered to multiple more participants as a BCC. I can also see if there's any encryption. Or straightforward, if I proceed to reject that message, I can just provide a warning message which will be visible to the user why this particular content cannot be shared over email. And last is quarantine. This is where this email will lie in the admin's quarantine mailbox, where the admin can actually review that entire email and then decide whether it has to be allowed for delivery or rejected. So this is how we can do it for email compliance. And like I said, we can configure this on the OU levels or at the root level as well. Next, I will move to drive security. As email, definitely we know email is the first piece of communication. The next is Google Drive. The data can also be leaked using Google Documents. So we can create these rules from the rules section where you'll see this dashboard where there are these pre rules, those are created already, and you will see the status is active. I can right away from here have a quick view to the rule that is created. I can also have a template view, so there are predefined templates available. Those are by default available with the admin. So here you can see on my screen, I have certain templates, like if I have to prevent financial information sharing. So this, I just have to select this template. That's it. And you'll see here the name of this template, what is the brief that I've provided. I'm applying it on the entire organization unit. I can exclude groups, I can include groups, I can exclude certain organization. So I can make the configuration for individual rule that I want to apply. And this is enabled in just seconds. In case you want to customize your rule and you don't want to use the default creation rule, there is the option of create rule. So I can select the create rule and I can go to data protection. With this, it'll start allowing me to create rule from the scratch. I can also download all these reports from the download section. I can define, I want to download trust rules that I've created. I want to download the data protection rule. If I say data protection, I just have to proceed with the download option. So this is for your drive rules. Next, I will move to the security dashboard. So as you can see my screen here, so this is a security dashboard available in all the Google Workspace admins, where admin can do a quick look at all the configurations or any alerts that have been generated, any incidents that have been triggered. So I can do it based on the domains that I have in my same admin tenant, time zones. If I have multiple time zones users, I can decide the date range for which I want to fetch this report. Maximum length of this report is 180 days. And you will see here at the bottom, there is a graphical representation for each one of it. So first one talks about the file sharing, how many files were shared externally. If I have to see and expand this report, I can quickly click on View Dashboard and it'll show me how many documents were shared externally, what were those. So these are with views and with domains that if I have to look at, I can click on domains. These were the domains where my documents were shared across. And if I have to check what rules were triggered, I can simply click here and it'll show me there is a single rule. I can also export this into a sheet, the data. In case I want to create a dashboard, a separate dashboard based on this data, I can definitely do that. Moving on to the next. Sorry. So as I scroll my screen, you might be able to see the different alerts those are generated in the admin panel. That's encryption based on message delivery, spam filters, what were like how many emails were marked as spam, what are those? I can go into deep detail later, but I would just like to show you all the cards available. How many were phishing, how many were malware, then spoofing, suspicious attachment if there were any. How many OAuth tokens were generated and for what applications were they used? I can also just view reports on a quick access. If I have user login attempts, if I've enabled these all configurations, I will be able to see them in the cards in this section. So just to quickly show you on the spam filter. So this is spam. I can see what was the subject of the email. Rule triggered for external emails. This was marked as spam. I can see who was the recipient for this email. This lied in the inbox and there was no spam folder. I can see who was the sender, the link domains. I can also export this results into a sheets. In order to have a detailed investigation, I can simply expand using investigation tool. So investigation tool plays a major role in deep diving into any incidents that have happened in the domain. So you will see it has given me a detailed brief of that particular email that has been into a spam. So you will see the date range between that email when it was triggered, what was the event, it was a received email. Classification, we had 5 different classification values, and these are again the additional emails which fall under the same trigger. I can go and copy the headers, view header of this email in case I want to investigate it further. If I want to delete this message from all users mailbox, I can simply delete it. So what this will do is it'll delete this email from the user's mailbox. So user will not be able to find it. I can restore this message. I can right away mark this message as spam, phishing. If I have to move it to inbox, I can do it move to inbox. Another option that I can do is from the quick view access. I can do the same actions but right away from the quick view. I can also add an additional query if I have to do some more additional search within this email. I can do that. I can delete this search. I can save this investigation for my later usage. So in case I have to relook at this content a week later, so I cannot just discard this and move away. I can simply save this investigation, name it, and it'll lie in my investigation reports. I can also have all the investigations which were earlier done. I can view them at a quick glance under this view investigation section. I can just duplicate this search for some other content type which I want to look at. Additionally, if I have to look into this email, I can simply read through that email. So right now you will see it shows me the message headers because I want to see why this email was marked as spam. So I can just scroll through, I can do a deep dive of this email. In case I want to read what was the content of this email, I can simply click on message section. Now, as a Google Workspace admin, it asks me for a reason that why do I want to see this message? So I have to provide the right reason for this session. I'm writing it as test. Once I confirm, it'll show me the email, what that email was. So I can read through the entire email. Reason I had to do this because all these logs will be captured in the admin panel. So even if you run an audit log for the admin activities, you will be able to see which particular admin had done an investigation on particular email, which date was that done, and what was the action taken. So you can check on that message and then you can decide whether you want to delete that message, again restore, mark it as spam, and there are additional steps available. If you want to mark it as phishing, move it to mailbox, send as quarantine. So this allows you to dig deep into your emails, even in your any kind of mail flow, that be internal, external, for the emails received by the users. Moving on to the next DLP incidents, you will see this is a DLP card that I have expanded. So it showcases what were the incidents over a period of time. You will see the data source were for Gmail, for Drive. So the maximum it shows is data sources in this section, the severity of that incident, medium, high, or low. I can also expand the results into Google Investigation Tool right away from the screen. So if I click, it shows me on that screen. Okay. Okay, by the time the results expand, I can move to just give you an overview of the entire investigation tool. So as an admin, you need to be a super admin on this account. What all can you check? You can see the access transparency log on the admin panel, uh, admin data action log events, admin log events, calendar, browsers, what browser log events happened, sync log events. These are different log events that you can search into. You can also search on context aware access, device log, drive, Gmail, chat. If you have any auth login events that you want to check on, you can simply select this and you have to just add in the condition. So you will get multiple options here. So you can select based on the actor group name, organization unit, API method, API name. These are all the options available using which you can run this search result. That is all for the investigation tool and the security dashboard. I would now hand over this call to Shamal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pallavi. Um, yeah, so the time is open where we can ask our questions, and I can see there are multiple questions in the Q&A box. I will address one by one. Meanwhile, if you have any question, you can add it here, and we will answer it. So, Amol, Prashant, Pallavi, anyone can answer to these questions. The first question is, how do we deal with things like the recent CrowdStrike incident where the laptop itself was not botting up?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a very interesting one, and I can feel the pain of whoever asked this, because I myself stuck uh, in a different city because all flights were cancelled. I spent the weekend there because no flights were available. All of that nice fun happened. So yeah, so the I think the answer to that is a little beyond what we discussed today. What we discussed primarily was about the Google Workspace, and this CrowdStrike incident was more at the device level. But there are ways to achieve that. The one of the things that we have seen, and some of our clients do, and even in our organization, we have some of these things. Our organization was 100% up and running, by the way. So you can use Chrome OS as your OS, and these days there really isn't any need to, on a work laptop, run any software directly on your uh, machine. Whether it is your SAP, whether it is SFDC, whether it is your, what we spoke about today, your emails, document editors, everything is on the cloud. So everything is browser based. So if you either switch to Chromebook as your laptop, or you can, convert your Windows or Mac laptops also to Chrome OS and run that. Then the need for these local agents, which was the problem in that CrowdStrike incident, need for those local agents is eliminated because Chrome is a read-only OS. So that's the solution. That's the way forward. Ideally, I think it's more and more people are looking at that and considering that seriously. Even in our case, many clients who had not adopted Chrome before have now, in the last couple of months, started taking this very seriously and started doing POCs of that. So that's probably the way to move forward to avoid this kind of incidents.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prashant. Amol, Pallavi, do you want to add anything, or we can move to the next question?
We can move.
Okay, so there are two different questions but interlinked. So I'll read the first question. If we still need AD, then the underlying issues remain, isn't it? Is there a way around this? That is the first question. And the followed question is, does this mean we can remove the need for AV software?
Sure. So I can start, and then Pallavi, you can also add. So to answer the first question on the AD side, as I said, AD is purely the authentication system, right? And you can continue to use AD, but depending on the requirement or the policies it is sufficing or it is basically enforcing, we can definitely arrive at a alternative identity environment as well. That will allow you to push similar policies instead of you maintaining AD completely. But if the AD use cases are entrenched and it is beyond, and then that needs to be the single source of identity moving in future as well. So it is always better to continue using AD, so you don't have to remove AD. Our platform would connect or integrate with AD, so that there is a one-way integration of with AD and Google Workspace can be established. Right? Any other point, Vallavi, you want to add on the AD side?
No, we're good. Anyways, just one point. As AD serves to be a single source of truth, so definitely we Google does provide an connector which can sync your identities to Workspace.
Hmm.
So anything is just one way direction. All the traffic runs. It's not the two way. So the data is safe.
Perfect. And the second question, I think, do we need to remove antivirus softwares? Okay, so the question is antivirus is basically supporting your endpoints. Here, the entire platform, Google Workspace, is completely thin on a browser level, and interface is completely on a thin client typically, right? So antivirus is needed from an endpoint standpoint. If you are moving to an environment which Prashant spoke about called Chrome for enterprise, or operating systems are Chrome, or Chromebooks are being utilized, and that's in that scenario, you don't need any kind of antivirus. But if you are apart from Chrome, you are using any of the operating systems, be it Windows, Mac, and your Linux, um, then you would definitely need some kind of endpoint that will take care of your anti-spam, antivirus, typically the HDR and XDR uh, capabilities.
Great. So actually, Amol, Prashant, Pallavi, our topic is secured collaboration, and I wanted to ask few questions. Like, so if we
Sure.
consider remote working is very popular nowadays, so I just wanted to understand what additional securities organizations should consider when using Google Workspace, specifically for remote work. Are there any measures or additional securities which will help to remote working?
So I'll take that up first, and that's where so Shamal, in one of my slides I spoke about fundamentally Google Workspace has been built ground up in a completely different fashion, right? And it supports work from anywhere, anytime, and any device. So it is practically not needed, at least related to the platforms which supports your email, which supports your file server, and then documentation and stuff like that. But organization does have so many other applications in the environment, which are typically your ERP, your other business applications that needs to be connected securely as well. And that is where companies use today VPN services or some kind of a virtual private network is being created in order to provide that connectivity securely to the endpoints. Now, in such scenarios, Google Cloud as a whole can be looked upon from a different Google Cloud services in order to provide those VPN services. Chrome Enterprise Premium also allows you to have a cloud VPN services as well. So these are some of the areas that needs to be looked upon. But idea is when you are on Google Workspace and applications that it caters to, be it communication, collaboration, you actually don't need any need to worry because it's completely device agnostic, and any time, any place you can actually use it.
Great, great. And I've seen like though see Google Workspace is a suite of applications. A lot of applications covers a lot of things, and we do not need to buy anything differently. But there are organizations they use these third-party integrations, like any application for that matter. So I wanted to understand when they use such kind of third-party integrations, is there anything that Google Workspace ensure the security of these third-party integrations and application that are connected to the platform?
Yeah. So some of the third party applications, if we can take those as an example, let's say HRMs, or for that matter, project management applications or CRM solutions. Typically, these does not come under the purview of Google Workspace, because Google Workspace looks after the secured platform from a communication collaboration standpoint, right? But as I spoke earlier as well, Chrome for Enterprise has a platform or a service called Chrome Enterprise Premium. And these applications, which are browser based and accessible on Chrome as an interface, Chrome browser as an interface, then you can definitely enforce certain policies in terms of DLP on other applications. It can also create a private connectivity through its VPN services as well. But otherwise, it does not come under the purview of Google Workspace.
Okay, great. And my last question actually. So we spoke about like threat detection and responses. So I wanted to understand, are there any advanced threat detection or response capabilities built into Google Workspace?
Yes, it is. And I think that is where the service, which called investigation tool, that was shown by Pallavi in our demo as well,
Yes.
allows you to detect the threads there in the email or mailboxes or any of the user, or there are certain files that you need to revoke the access of the users who are not privileged today, and and there are malicious data is lying in any of the users' data or the applications. And this is where investigation tool comes really handy. From a single console sitting at one place, you can run the queries and revoke the data and access as well. So that remediation was also possible apart from just detection. Okay. And there are security centers, security health dashboards allows you to see what are the policies that you are enforcing on the console or on the domain side. Uh, and it also gives you triggers and alerts if such kind of activity is been taking place, so that in advance administrator user can enforce those policies and revoke the access.
Great, great. I think we are running out of time. And yes, so thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, all the speakers, and thank you, everyone, for joining this session. If you have any query, anything, anyway, I will send out the thank you email, and you'll get all the resources which we have shared here. If you have any query, if you want any consultation, please get back to us. You can simply reply to the email, and we can, take this in person as well as one to one also. So let us know. And thank you, everyone. It was a great session.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Great day ahead.
Thank you.